Okay, picture this. You're one of the biggest, most powerful tech companies on the planet. You just spent literally billions of dollars acquiring the absolute best, most elite cybersecurity minds in the world to build this impenetrable digital fortress. And then, just a couple of years later, you start quietly letting those exact same experts go. It's wild, right? Why on earth would Google fire the very cybersecurity teams it just spent an absolute fortune to build? Well, the answer reveals this massive hidden shift in how the entire business of technology operates today. And trust me, it's going to impact a lot more than just cybersecurity. Okay, let's dive into this. To really understand this billion-dollar paradox, we have to look at the timeline. Back in 2022, Google made this huge splash by acquiring the renowned cybersecurity firm Mandiant. They spent billions to bring these highly specialized, world-class threat hunters in-house. But fast forward to right now, in 2026, and Google is actively cutting jobs across these exact same divisions. It really begs the central question of this explainer. What in the world drastically changed between 2022 and 2026 to make these incredibly valuable human experts suddenly expendable to Google's bottom line? Now, you have to understand, these recent layoffs haven't just been random administrative cuts, not at all. They hit right at the core of Google's security apparatus. We are talking about Google's Threat Intelligence Group. This is a unit literally famous for tracking state-sponsored hackers and massive global cyber threats. And yeah, workers at Mandiant were directly affected by these reductions too. Over the past few weeks, we've seen employees from these elite units posting about their sudden departures all over LinkedIn. When pressed on this, Google essentially gave standard corporate speak, saying they were evaluating internal structures to redirect investment towards, quote, high-growth areas. But what does high-growth areas actually mean when you're talking about defending against global hackers? To find the real reason, we actually have to ignore the corporate layoff memos and look at what Google recently showed off at their Cloud Next conference over in Las Vegas. Which brings us to part one. Enter the AI agents. So at that Vegas conference, Google unveiled what they are calling their new agentic fleet. Basically, 3 brand new artificial intelligence agents designed to just completely overhaul cyber defense. First up, you have the threat hunting agent. This one continuously looks for stealthy, malicious behavior at what Google describes as an infinite scale. Then second is detection engineering, which autonomously finds security gaps in IT environments and actually writes new rules to fix them on the fly. And third is third-party context, which basically enriches existing security workflows with outside data. So if you read between the lines here, Google is essentially deploying a massive fleet of tireless digital workers to do the exact highly specialized job they used to hire human experts for. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is agentic AI? Anyway, we aren't just talking about a basic chatbot that helps you write emails here. Agentic AI refers to entirely autonomous systems capable of handling incredibly complex, multi-step tasks at machine pace. In the cybersecurity world, this means the AI doesn't just, flag a problem and wait for a human to look at it. No, it actively hunts the threat, diagnoses the vulnerability, and engineers the solution entirely on its own. And it does this around the clock without ever experiencing fatigue. Which brings us right to the hard business math. Because ultimately, the return on investment data comparing a human workforce to an autonomous AI fleet is exactly what drove Google's sweeping workforce reductions. That leads us nicely into part 2, human pace versus machine scale. The contrast here is just staggering. See, Google already has an existing AI agent running called the Triage and Investigation Agent. And according to their own internal data, a typical manual security analysis that would usually take a highly trained human expert about 30 minutes to complete, that exact same analysis is now being done by this AI agent in just 60 seconds. I mean, really think about that from a business perspective for a second. You're taking a half-hour workflow and crushing it down to a single minute. When an executive looks at that level of massive efficiency on a spreadsheet, the decision to restructure the human workforce just becomes a matter of basic economics. But here's the thing, it's not just about speed, right? It's about scale. 5 million. Over the last year alone, Google's Triage and Investigation Agent successfully processed more than 5 million security alerts. That's mind-boggling. A human team, no matter how elite or well-funded, simply cannot manually triage 5 million alerts without massive overhead and inevitable, crushing burnout. But the machine can. It operates at this infinite scale that human defenders just literally can't match. And here's why this absolutely matters to you, even if you have nothing to do with cybersecurity. What we're seeing at Google right now is not an isolated incident. This brutal pivot towards AI-driven efficiency is a massive contagion sweeping across all of Silicon Valley and, honestly, way beyond. Which kicks off part 3, the industry-wide AI shift. And this brilliantly illustrates what I mean. Google's biggest competitors are slashing thousands of jobs for the exact same reasons. Meta recently cut roughly 8,000 jobs, loudly shifting their focus toward AI and superintelligence. Oracle? They're redirecting resources toward AI infrastructure, which led to an estimated 20,000 to 30,000 cuts. Dell reduced its workforce by about 11,000, citing automation and efficiency. Even another massive cybersecurity player, Cloudflare, cut over 1,100 positions explicitly to prepare for what they boldly called the agentic AI era. Make no mistake, folks, we are watching a complete structural transformation of the modern workforce in real time. In fact, if we zoom out and look at the broader picture tracked by industry monitors, as of mid-2026, we've seen 116,379 total tech sector layoffs across 164 companies. And this isn't just a brief period of economic belt-tightening, it's a fundamental reallocation of capital. These companies are actively funding completely unprecedented investments into AI infrastructure, massive data centers, and hyper-advanced chips. And how are they paying for it? By hollowing out their traditional human-led divisions. We have officially crossed a threshold, and the rules of the game have fundamentally changed for everyone. So, here we are in part 4. The agentic era arrives. Honestly, this whole new reality is perfectly summarized by Francis D'Souza, the Chief Operating Officer over at Google Cloud. He explicitly stated, and I quote, "We have moved from a human-led defense strategy to an AI-led defense strategy that's overseen by humans." Actually, let's just pause and think about that hierarchy for a second. Notice that profound shift? The AI is now doing the leading. The AI is doing the routine grunt work, the hunting, the building, the triaging. The humans are no longer the primary workers driving the car. They've basically been moved to the passenger seat at the loop's outer edge, existing simply to oversee the machines. Which leaves us with this final, absolutely vital question to ponder. If highly paid experts in cybersecurity, a field that everyone previously thought required deep human intuition, creativity, and expertise, are getting replaced by AI agents that can do their job in 60 seconds, is your industry next? Because let me tell you, this transition from a human-first approach to a machine-first reality isn't slowing down. If anything, it is accelerating. Understanding how these autonomous agents operate is going to be the literal difference between adapting to the future and being completely left behind by it. You absolutely need to stay informed on how these massive technological and business shifts are going to impact your career, your specific industry, and the global economy as a whole. This channel is entirely dedicated to keeping you ahead of these exact kinds of rapid, industry-altering changes. So hit that subscribe button right now to keep learning, keep adapting, and stay way ahead of the curve as we navigate this wild new agent era together. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you in the next one.